Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic of moral development and how it influences our social behavior. We'll explore how our ethical growth shapes the way we interact within diverse communities, looking closely at the connections and communications that define our social world. I'm excited to take this journey with you and uncover the important role morality plays in our everyday interactions. Moral development is all about how people learn and absorb the values, norms, and principles that shape their behavior in social settings. It's a crucial process because it helps us understand why individuals make certain ethical choices and how they interact with others in society. By studying moral development, we gain insight into the foundation of ethical decision-making and the way people navigate complex social situations. This concept is key to understanding human behavior and fostering a more empathetic and just community. Here we have 3 key theories that have shaped our understanding of moral development. First, Kohlberg's moral stages emphasize the progression of moral reasoning through specific stages, focusing primarily on concepts of justice and individual rights. This theory highlights how people develop a more sophisticated sense of fairness over time. Next, Piaget's moral judgment theory looks at moral growth through cognitive development and social interactions, especially with peers. It shows how understanding rules and cooperation evolve as children mature. Finally, Gilligan's ethics of care brings a different perspective by emphasizing relationships and care-based moral reasoning. This approach highlights how moral decisions can be rooted in empathy and the importance of connections with others. Together, these theories offer a comprehensive view of how morality develops from different angles. Here, we take a closer look at the 3 main stages of moral development, visualized on this horizontal bar chart. The first stage is the pre-conventional level, where individuals are primarily motivated by self-interest. At this stage, decisions are driven by personal gain or avoidance of punishment. Moving on, the conventional stage involves motivation by social approval. People here start to consider societal norms and the expectations of others when making moral choices. Finally, the post-conventional stage reflects principled ethical reasoning. At this highest level, individuals base their decisions on universal ethical principles, often going beyond social rules to do what they believe is fundamentally right. This chart helps us understand the progression from self-centered reasoning toward more abstract and principled ethical thinking. Here, we're exploring the cognitive and emotional aspects of moral growth. First, cognitive development plays a crucial role by enhancing our moral reasoning. As our cognitive abilities improve, we gain a deeper understanding of ethical concepts and principles, which helps us make more thoughtful moral decisions. On the other hand, emotional empathy is equally important. It fuels our capacity to care for others and heightens our moral sensitivity, encouraging us to respond compassionately to their feelings and experiences. Together, these cognitive and emotional elements work hand in hand to shape a well-rounded moral framework. Here we explore 2 fundamental approaches to making moral decisions. On one side, we have the reasoning-driven choice, where decisions are guided primarily by logical analysis. In this approach, principles and the potential consequences hold the most weight, allowing us to make choices based on careful thought and clear rationale. You'll notice this is symbolized by the light bulb icon, representing insight and reason. On the other side, there's the empathy-driven choice. This focuses on the emotional connection we feel and our concern for others' feelings. Decisions made from this perspective prioritize compassion and understanding, highlighting the importance of emotions in guiding our moral judgment. The hand icon here reminds us of the human touch and care involved. Both these elements, reasoning and empathy, play a crucial role. Balancing them can often lead to the most nuanced and ethical decisions. Hear me explore how moral development directly influences our social behavior through 3 key aspects. First, cooperation. As individuals grow morally, they become better at working together towards shared goals and supporting each other, like a team collaborating successfully on a community project. Next, conformity. With a deeper moral understanding, people tend to align their actions with social norms and ethical standards, such as following codes of conduct in the workplace. Finally, conflict resolution. Advanced moral reasoning enables individuals to mediate disputes fairly and find peaceful solutions, like facilitating calm discussions between conflicting parties. Together, these elements showcase the strong connection between moral growth and positive social interactions. Here we explore examples of moral behavior across different social settings. First, in the school setting, students show fairness by assisting their classmates, which highlights the early stages of moral development, like empathy and cooperation. Moving to the workplace, colleagues work together to address ethical issues, demonstrating sophisticated reasoning about justice and responsibility. Finally, in the community, volunteers engage in civic activities, reflecting a strong commitment to social good and moral values. Each of these examples showcases how moral principles play out in various social contexts, emphasizing the growth and expression of ethical behavior from childhood through adulthood. When we look at moral growth, two key influences stand out: family socialization and peer influence. First, families play a foundational role. Parents model behaviors, enforce discipline, and pass on core values, which together create a framework that guides a child's moral development throughout their life. Then we have peers, who also have a powerful impact. They establish social norms and reputations that shape moral choices and how individuals learn to interact socially. Both family and peers contribute in unique but complementary ways to how we develop our sense of right and wrong. Here we explore how both culture and education shape our understanding of morality. First, cultural variation plays a significant role. Different societies have their own moral norms, deeply influenced by unique traditions and social values. This diversity means that what's considered morally right in one culture might be viewed differently in another, affecting how moral behavior is expressed and judged worldwide. On the other hand, formal education provides a structured way to introduce moral concepts and societal values. Through curricula designed to develop ethical reasoning, students learn to understand and apply these principles, fostering ethical behavior. Together, cultural context and moral education work hand in hand to shape our moral outlook. Here, we look at three key situational factors that shape our moral choices. First, authority and obedience play a powerful role. When a figure of authority issues directives, people often follow them, even if it means compromising their own moral judgment. This shows how social hierarchy influences behavior. Next, situational norms come into play. These are the perceived social rules within a particular context that guide how we act. If everyone around us behaves a certain way, we're more likely to conform, aligning our moral decisions with the group's accepted standards. Finally, cost-benefit analysis and incentives affect our choices. Rewards and punishments change how we evaluate the consequences of our actions, steering us toward behavior that seems to maximize benefits or minimize costs. Together, these factors demonstrate how the environment and social context deeply impact moral decision-making. Here, we see a breakdown of how different moral development theories place emphasis on three key aspects: reasoning, emotion, and social context. Reasoning is the most heavily weighted, accounting for half of the focus, which reflects theories that prioritize logical thinking and moral reasoning skills. Emotion follows with 20%, highlighting the importance of feelings and emotional responses in moral growth. Finally, social context makes up 30%, underlining how interactions and societal factors influence our moral development. Understanding these relative emphases helps us evaluate each theory's strengths and where they might have limitations, providing a more complete picture of how morality evolves. Here we're looking at some real-world applications of how understanding moral development can make a meaningful difference. First, in education, curricula are designed to include perspective-taking and ethical reasoning, helping students grow morally right in the classroom. Moving into organizations, workplace ethics training plays a big role by establishing codes of conduct and decision-making frameworks that guide employee behavior effectively. Lastly, on a broader scale, Community and policy programs focus on interventions that encourage cooperation and reduce harm by engaging the community and promoting volunteerism. All these examples show how insights into moral development are used practically to foster better behavior and stronger communities. To wrap up, let's review some key points about moral development. First, at its core, moral development progresses through stages where reasoning deepens and empathy grows. This evolution shapes how we understand right and wrong. Socially, this growth influences how people cooperate, conform, and manage conflicts in various settings. Our moral development doesn't happen in isolation. It's shaped by family, peers, culture, and even the situations we find ourselves in. Finally, understanding these processes has practical applications. It helps guide education, policymaking, and organizational practices to foster better moral growth and social harmony. The vibrant heart here reminds us that moral development is central to our social and emotional lives. On this final slide, we have some key discussion topics alongside prompts designed to engage us further. First, let's consider the discussion topics. We'll explore the implications for education, ethical leadership, cultural adaptation, and the gaps that still exist in research. These areas are crucial because they help us understand how theory translates into real-world practice and where improvements are needed. Then, on the right, you'll see prompts for engagement. I encourage you to reflect on which situational factors surprise you the most. Think about how educators can apply these ideas effectively and identify where existing theories might fall short within your own context. These questions are meant to inspire deeper thinking and meaningful conversation. Together, these points provide a solid foundation for us to discuss and critically analyze the concepts we've covered. The image of speech bubbles and question marks visually supports this theme of inquiry and dialogue, emphasizing the importance of asking questions and sharing perspectives as we wrap up.